Dave? Wasn't too bad, was it?
No, I love it. 730s for life.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Yes, I know I need a haircut. Just cut it out. So I kind of halfway started. I'm about 15 minutes into this, but I figured a little update. We did get Seth's truck to run. I'm not sure if it'll make it in this video or a later video, but we did finally get it to run with a fresh tune in it. That ended up being the problem, which is awesome. Now today we are working on this 7.3. I know we cut the POWERSTROKE content a little short, so you know what? Why not bring you guys along? I apologize. We're using a GoPro. We have to replace this driver's side head. And the reason for the replacement of the driver's side head is right here. You guys might be able to see. Get a flashlight in here. We have a welded cylinder head. It cracked. It came here because the exhaust manifold cracked. Went to go swap the exhaust manifold. Found a bunch of welding on the head. Customer opted to replace this cylinder head, so that is what we're gonna do. In order to do this, disconnect batteries, intercooler pipes, this whole Y-bridge assembly thing here, intake, wire harness, power steering pump. I'm gonna take the upper radiator hose out just for a little bit better access. Your oil, your H-pop sensor, your injector harness, injectors, and then that head should come out. There's a fancy tool to do that. However, David and I are poor, so we're just gonna lift it out with man hands. Let me get you guys up on a time lapse. Let's get to it. Okay guys, we got this thing just down to the head bolts, I believe. We had a little bit of a head start with the exhaust manifold. However, we had a little bit of a slow start because half the valve cover bolts were stripped off, which was awesome. Huge fan, so appreciate that. But I'm sure the customer didn't know that when he bought it, but we're all the way down. So one thing I learned, that the injector hold downs are slotted, so we just slide them back and then you pry off this backside and pop them up. I felt like you had to apply a little too much force, but that's what it took to get them out. Then you have to disconnect this line. You have to this is the fuel line. We got the high pressure oil line. We're replacing that, so we won't worry about the O-rings. And now all that's left are the cylinder head bolts. Again, the exhaust manifold we already took off. There is your EGR cooler down there. As you guys can see here, I mean, this is turning into quite the project for the owner of this truck, which is unfortunate, but you guys can kind of see here what we're up against. I mean, the turbos, I think the PCV is a problem. The turbo is just caked in oil. Intercooler boots are pretty well saturated. Power steering pump, unfortunately, is leaking. Had to use vice grips to get the electrical harness apart. And you guys can just kind of see, just if you even look at like the oil cooler down there, it's just, this truck's had a pretty rusty life. So we're gonna go ahead and get these bolts taken off, and I will show you guys this when the cylinder head is laying on the ground. All right guys, just a PSA for you. If I sound out of breath, be easy, I'm kind of fat. Dave, where's that last bolt that we pulled out? The one that, let me find this one for you guys. Here you go. You know it's gonna be a bad time when you're using stripped nut extractor. This is the one they welded on. And now you guys can get a little better close up here. Let me find a light here. So this is the 7.3 right here. And then for you guys that are curious about this damage, look right there. Just lovely. Look at that. Just a lot of welding. You guys can see where they kind of nicked the weld with there. And this came in for an exhaust leak. Cracked manifold. Found that on the head. It's just gotten kind of expensive for this poor fellow that bought this truck. And we'll get it fixed. We got a new head, and after about an hour and a half, we got this out. To be fair, a little bit of the work was done on the exhaust manifold, stuff like that. So I think all in all, like 2 hours, maybe 3 hours tops, and you get to this point. So we'll have some prep work, getting the block ready for the new head gasket, new head bolts, and then put it all back together, new O-rings and stuff. So this will be probably a full day tomorrow too, just because we haven't done a lot of 7.3 heads. So anyway, we'll pick this back up later, but it's off and I'm going to bed. All right guys, so the customer approved us to replace his turbo pedestal seals while we're here. It's the O-rings. Now, you guys have seen the rest of this truck. The collector pipe for the 2-up pipes snapped off. However, I was able to get the downpipe one free. So I guess +1, -1. And then we got his new head right there that we got to prep. Obviously, I still got to clean this, but this truck is just a nightmare for me, at least.
Everything is not enough. Really hard is by the ocean. Among all those white hot sands, where every sunrise is just for you. So come along and take my hand.
Guys, we are dealing with a rounded off 10 mil on the back of the pedestal, and David has decided to become one with the 7.3. In fact, Dave has been telling me how he would own one of these trucks. Look at him. I don't know if you guys can see. I mean, his head is behind the turbo. That is impressive for him. Look at this. Like, no homo here. He is head over heels about this 7.3 PowerStroke. And the other problem is, I know there's an EPV valve, and yes, I'm aware, but the clip is rusted to the shaft. So cannot disconnect that. You guys saw me try to separate the turbo from the pedestal. That did not work out well. Hopefully Dave can figure it out back there, and I'll show you guys once we get her out. But this is quite the what do you have to say for yourself, Dave? You don't know?
This is fun.
Oh, he's having fun, guys. All right, guys, so you guys can see the two O-rings right there. The problem was that back bolt was rounded out. We were able to get it out.
Daddy was there.
It's yeah, whatever. Where the hell was Daddy last night when I was pulling this head off? And I was getting that one head bolt you could not get off. Daddy was here.
Daddy got slow.
Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead, and the fuel line that we need to replace for this guy is right here. So we're gonna do that. We're probably gonna vacuum the valley out so I can actually tell it's a 7.3. And then from there, we'll put it all back together. The only casualty really was this clamp. And yeah, it is what it is. We'll get the surface prepped for the head, and we'll get this thing back together. We have our new pedestal O-rings in there. We got our new clamp ordered. Now we're gonna go ahead and put the pedestal back on. Once the pedestal's back on, Dave's going to get that clamp, and I got the head gasket deck prepped and the new head gasket laid down there. We got the passenger side fuel line. This actually, believe it or not, Ford had in stock. And we cleaned out the valley as best we could. Just brake cleaner, screwdrivers, vacuum, just kind of sucked it all out of there. And then over here, we have our new head. You guys can see here, it comes loaded. We had to put the plenum plate on. We put the lifting hook, the H-pop pressure sensor, the fuel fitting for the front side of the head. And yeah, she's about ready to go on. One other little gem we uncovered on this thing, which I'm pretty sure is why everything was full, is rat's nest in there. So we'll have to pull this out and clean that all out, get a fresh air filter for them. But we're thinking that's why it was sucking so much oil into that turbo. And here's the turbo. So it appears to be like a factory one, but it looks like a different kind of wheel than normal. So I'm not 100% sure on that, but we're gonna go ahead and get the pedestal put back on. Just due to trying to get this done, I'm gonna kind of start throwing stuff back together. You guys will get to watch us periodically. Okay, for all you DIYers, there's a plate that mounts right about here that you use to set it on. What we did is I took two M8 by 125, I believe, bolts and a ratchet strap. And basically you gotta give it enough length to go down, and you also have to give it enough of this like V angle. See how we have the strap here and then it tapers out? You want them to be tight enough so you can get clearance under the cowl. And then one of you guys works the engine stand, and one of us just sat up here and used this as a guide. We got it kind of close, put two head bolts in, and we got her fully seated on the dowels now. So we're just gonna go ahead and put all the new cylinder head bolts on, get it torqued down, and start putting this together. Dave, wasn't too bad, was it?
No, I love it. 7.3s for life.
Got the cylinder head torqued down. It is 3 steps. It says to lubricate with engine oil, 65, 85, 95. Went through, checked them all. Anyway, bless myself. Next, we're gonna go ahead and get the new glow plugs in, and new, or not new, but we're gonna put the new O-rings on all the injectors here, and then reassemble the valve train. Obviously, we will clean it off. And then from there, we got some more cleaning, the intake pipe for the turbo. And then I call it the Y bridge. I'm sure it's something a little different, but that's there. David got the turbo cleaned up the best we could, and yeah, we're just kind of slowly chugging through it. Nothing too crazy, just putting bolts back on, stuff like that. So it's not too challenging, which is nice. Just time consuming. So I'm gonna just keep piddling away at it. You guys kind of got a lot of time lapse of it coming apart, so I think I'm gonna just hammer down and get her done. But it's pretty easy. We're gonna do glow plugs, then we're gonna do the rocker arms, then we're gonna do the injectors. And I know somebody's gonna say it. Yes, we are gonna put the engine at 11 o'clock on the crank position sensor bracket, so the valve train goes on. It'll be 20 foot-pounds on each bolt that holds the rocker arms down. And I don't know why I said I'm gonna put the glow plugs in, because we are gonna leave those out and crank the engine to push all the oil out, and then we'll put the glow plugs back in. The only trick that I found with these 7.3s is I will put the valve covers back on and then crank the engine over. When I was much younger, I made a mistake and I did not do that, and oil went everywhere. So I just put the valve cover on loosely, holds all the oil in there, prevents a big mess, and then you drop your glow plugs in and you're ready to go. Guys, we have a rare spotting of the Cody Fisher ordering from Taco Bell.
And mild sauce, please. That'll be it. All right, 17.1. God damn. Tells you how much of a $17 for Taco Bell.
They probably charge you extra for that cream he's getting on there.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna call it a night here. We're waiting on the clamp that Dave decided not to get. So we can put the turbo back on with that up pipe clamp and the exhaust down pipe clamp. We got the injectors, rocker arms put back in, harness is hooked up. I wasn't really worried about leaving the glow plugs out because Dave brought up a good point. We like cleaned out all the bores, so we went ahead and put that all together, and waiting on some these Valley boots that go on the Y bridge. Those we got new, so we're just waiting on a few things. We'll put the exhaust manifold on tomorrow, but all in all, for I don't know, about 6-7 hours of work, not too bad. We just got the turbo set on here, and we just got our riffraff boots here. Let me show you guys what we're working with here. So we got our 2 PCV bolts, and Dave actually ordered 4. Oh well. We got our 2 Y bridge boots, and then this should be our new PCV that goes on the driver's side valve cover here, and it is. So now we can get this guy set up nice and fresh, and hopefully he won't have any problems down the road. So again, just kind of one of those things. We'll get her done. We got our new PCV vent down there, cleaned out the intake tube for him, got all the brackets mounted up, got his new exhaust manifold, which was originally the reason why he was here. Alternator, power steering are back on. That's the 4 bolts right here, 1, 2, 3, and then there's this one under here that's kind of tricky, not to get to, but you just can't see it. From here, I'm gonna go ahead and get his Y bridge on. We're waiting on a T-bar clamp, or a T-bar for the downpipe clamp, but that won't stop us from running it. So we just got a zip tie kind of holding it over, and then I'm gonna have to run his harness back over here, and we're getting really close to firing up. Yes, I know I need a haircut, but it is what it is. Just kind of slowly chipping away at it. We gotta drain this engine oil, put fresh engine oil in, fresh oil filter. Obviously we gotta put the coolant back in, but a couple more hours and this thing will be mint, ready to go, and hopefully it's everything this guy wanted. All right guys, we just gotta put this battery in, and we still got the downpipe clamp, but we're waiting on a part for that. But everything except for the intercooler pipe, the downpipe, is installed. Fresh oil change with some good old fancy Rotella. And now we're about to fire this up for you. Everything's hooked up on the belt. Yeah, all in all, not too terrible of a job. All right, guys, here we have first fire. Gotta build up oil pressure. You guys remember the oil rail's completely empty, so it
barely started before. So.
yeah, it takes a lot of cranking on these to get all the oil back into the old rail here. If you guys remember my old 6-liter, she was cranky when we did the head gasket job. That's normal. They take a long time to. Yeah, but we need H-pop pressure. Let that start a rest for a minute. All right, guys, I made a promise to always be honest. The IDM fuse decided that it didn't want to play anymore, so we got a fresh fuse in there. And now that we've cranked it quite a while, I'm sure it's probably gonna fire up here pretty soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna start using the GoPro a little bit more. I'm using my phone to like talk to customers with my headphones in, so it's not as easy to do the phone, and also because of the internet speed out here in rural Southwest Virginia, it's very hard to upload. So I'm trying to put it all on the SD card, from the SD card onto the computer upload to YouTube. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Again, this was a cylinder head replacement on a 7.3 POWERSTROKE. And then we did the turbo pedestal rings. We replaced the passenger side head fuel line, and now the only thing left is brakes. But I mean, let's be real, that's not very exciting. So hopefully you guys like this video. Drop a comment down below on what you guys think about 7.3s, and subscribe if you're not already. And David, you want to hit him with the outro? What you got to say?
7.3s for life.
All right, guys, I'll catch y'all in the next one.